Okay, so one final video on risk metrics. I just want to talk through some learning objectives. So one is fragility and vulnerability functions. First, we need to define them, and the idea that we've got binary outcomes versus continuous outcomes. What is the typical mathematical form of those functions, and how would we use them to compute probabilities of different outcomes? Okay. Second thing we talked through was different ways of calibrating these fragility and vulnerability functions. We used empirical data or analytical methods or expert judgment. And it's good to know the benefits and drawbacks of each of those, right? So we can hopefully utilize the benefits of each and minimize the drawbacks of each, or coming up with methods to calibrate these models. All right, then we talked through a set of metrics for computing risk to buildings or assets in general. It doesn't have to be buildings. We were looking at the annual rate of failure, the exceedance rate curves, where we computed the annual rate of exceeding some consequence metric, and we talked about the average annual loss metric. So those are three really common metrics. It's good to be able to compute those yourself, given the necessary inputs. And we talked a little bit about shapes of fragility curves, that as the curves get flatter with the larger beta, what does that do to the fragility curve, and how does it influence the risk to the structure? So maybe a little more of a detailed one, but that kind of deepens your understanding of what's going on with these functions versus the output metrics that we were computing. All right, that's all on risk metrics.